Caves, the most painful cave deaths of all time.
Waianapanapa Caves. On January 29, 2017, 32-year-old Gregory Wilhelm was vacationing in Maui, Hawaii with 3 friends when a fun day at Waianapanapa State Park turned into a nightmare. While visiting the park, the group discovered the entrance to the Waianapanapa Caves. The 4 of them, 2 men and 2 women, decided to take a swim in the well-lit pool near the cave entrance, just as many tourists had done before. While the women stayed by the pool, Gregory, eager to explore, convinced his male friends to join him inside the cave. Gregory decided to improvise and used his phone as a flashlight. He put it inside a Ziploc bag to avoid it getting wet. If they had been planning to do cave exploration to begin with, they probably would have brought a proper flashlight.
Mate, if they was going to do cave exploration, yeah, they probably should have came prepared.
The women decided to wait at the swimming pool at the cave entrance. Gregory and one friend ventured into the darkness. After only a few feet, they reached an area where the water rose to their waists and encountered a boulder blocking the way. Beneath the boulder was a deep pool, a popular spot for divers, but without proper equipment, they agreed to do just a quick dive of about a minute before.
Wait. Is there no signs? Normally, like, if this is a tourist place, surely they would, if this is what it kind of looks like, surely there'll be a sign, right?
Resurfacing. Since Gregory was the only one with a working light, his friend followed him underwater. Soon, they discovered that the depth was much greater than expected. Curiosity drove Gregory to explore further into a narrow passage. But as the water level began to rise, his friend grew scared and swam back to the surface.
Mate, you got no gear. What are you doing? You literally have no gear to be doing this.
Total darkness without telling Gregory, leaving him behind. Eventually, though, Gregory needed air and tried to turn back, only to find himself surrounded by darkness. Panicked, he searched for an exit and managed to find a small pocket of air, but he soon realized how unpredictable the cave was. The water level shifted dramatically with time, and strong currents and violent waves were common. Forced to make a split-second decision before running out of air, he pressed on further into the cave. Meanwhile, Gregory's friend miraculously—
Wait. At this point, why are you not going back? Why are you going further?
resurfaced at the spot where they had originally dived, but there was no sign of Gregory. Worried, the 2 women decided to enter the cave, and inside, they found Gregory's friend in a state of panic and disorientation. Realizing that Gregory's life was in danger, his male friend re-entered the cave in total darkness. He instructed both of the women to scream so he could use the sound as a guide to help him find his way back. After—
Wait. Would that work when you're in the water? Now, I've never been inside of a cave underwater, right? But I've been in pools underwater and you can barely hear people outside. I don't think that's gonna work. I don't think he's gonna hear your screams.
After making a third dive, he spotted a tiny light in the distance that grew brighter as he approached. It turned out to be the flashlight on Gregory's phone. However, when he picked it up, Gregory was nowhere to be seen. He returned to his friends, and together they rushed out of the cave to call the Hana Fire Department, which immediately contacted rescue crews. Later, reports indicated that Gregory had lost his sense of direction in a very tight passage. Each failed attempt to retrace his steps only made him more panicked. Eventually, he took a wrong turn, and by the time he tried to find his way back, it was too late. He drowned in total darkness.
Bro, I just don't get it. Why would you do this? I don't get it, chat. Like, you've got no gear. You haven't came here to scuba dive. You've just came here as a tourist. And then you decided to go deep inside of a cave. I don't get it. Why? Why?
When rescuers finally arrived, they found Gregory's body 75 feet deep in the cave. The Goss Canyon tragedy.
Wow.
On September 17, 2000, brothers Michael and Paul Hayden decided to explore an abandoned well cave in Goss Canyon in La Crescenta, Montrose, California, a cave they had known well from childhood visits with their 4 other siblings. This particular cave featured dry ledges and holes, as well as a water pool approximately 100 feet deep, situated between water shafts above. They entered the cave through a small 3-by-4-foot entrance that led to a horizontal passage about 50 feet long. Paul, a master sergeant and elite scuba diver with the Air Force Pararescue Force, took the lead. He was
well, at least these guys are prepared. Like, they came here on a mission. I wouldn't do this, right? Too risky for me. But, I'm sure people get a real good buzz from doing it, the adrenaline. But so, each to their own, but at least they're more prepared.
Equipped with scuba gear that
Then the last
provided him
one.
with 2 hours of air and had a GoPro strapped to his head to serve as a light. Meanwhile, Michael stayed near the pool area to monitor his brother. They used a rope tether system attached to a large boulder in the main cave. Michael would tug the rope to check on Paul's status, and Paul would respond with similar tugs to indicate he was okay.
Fully prepared.
For the
What
first
goes
20
wrong?
minutes, their communication system worked flawlessly. Then, when Michael pulled the rope twice, expecting a response, he received none. Pulling again, he found the rope was tight and immobile. Initially thinking Paul was stuck, Michael pulled as hard as he could. When nothing changed, he immediately left the cave to seek help from the local fire department, knowing that Paul had only 90 minutes of air remaining. Fortunately, the local fire department responded immediately, along with the LA Sheriff's Office and the LA Fire Department, and quickly traveled to the cave entrance to begin the rescue. When Paul's GoPro was found, its footage was analyzed, and it revealed the exact moment he removed his regulator to breathe air from an air pocket in an abandoned water shaft. The air in these pockets, whether formed in abandoned water shafts or naturally within the cave, did not circulate and was contaminated by decay gases from the surrounding soil, rock, and organic material, as well as by gases released through water erosion of stones. This leads to a dangerous increase in carbon dioxide concentration. Although Paul was a scuba diver, he was not a certified cave diver. He knew the risks of air pockets in caves and usually carried a
Wait, why did he take his thing off there? Why didn't he just go back? If he had like 90 minutes of air.
Lighter to test the oxygen levels before removing his regulator. However, on that tragic day, he didn't have his lighter and assumed the air was safe for a short breath. The footage also showed the walls of the shaft and then captured Paul's submersion in water as he made no attempt to replace his regulator. He lost consciousness instantly, becoming incapacitated and inadvertently poisoning himself with CO2, dying within a minute or two as he sank to the bottom. The Santa Rosa Blue Hole tragedy. On March 26, 20...
Wait, why did he take off his regulator though? Like if he had a lot of air in there, he had 90 minutes left, why did he even do that? He could have just kept swimming and just go back. He just wanted air from an air pocket?
To the bottom. The Santa Rosa Blue Hole tragedy. On March 26, 2016, 2 skilled cave divers went on a dangerous mission to map an unexplored part of a cave system in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. Unfortunately, something terrible happened. Deeper caves beneath its floor were sealed in 1976 after 2 divers died. In 2016, after reopening the entrance, a 10-person team, including experienced cave divers Mike Young and Navy veteran Shane Thompson, spent 3 days exploring the reopened tunnels and chambers. On the third and last day, Mike and Shane planned to explore a very tight spot at 140 feet, then move down to another narrow opening at 165 feet. Shane was told to wait at the open area and not go past the second opening himself. Beyond the 165-foot point, there were 5 more tight spots before the cave's last known area. Mike followed a guideline that had been set earlier, moving through boulders and squeezing through narrow passages while carrying tank...
Hey, bro, this is a crazy hobby, man. Yo, any of you guys in chat would do this? Would any of you want to do this? Like, experience this adrenaline or nah? I definitely would not. No way.
On his side and a rebreather unit.
Not
Shane had been
me.
following Mike up to the 165-foot opening. There, Mike told him to wait. But as soon as Mike was out of sight, Shane decided to follow him, even though that was against their plan. Mike did not know that Shane was right behind him. Shane followed the guideline along a rocky path over large boulders and sharp bends until he reached a narrow 3-foot opening. At that point, the water was full of silt, and he ran into another tight passage. He turned his body and tried to pull himself along the wall, but his back-mounted rebreather got caught on a rock sticking out from the tunnel ceiling. With
stuck?
One arm forward and the other touching the cave wall and the guideline, he twisted, trying to free himself. Soon he found that he was stuck between the rocks. Moving backwards could have damaged his rebreather, which would have been very dangerous. As he panicked, his breathing became fast and shallow.
Oh my God.
Suddenly, Mike's arm hit Shane's head, and they ended up face to face at about 195 feet deep. Mike was surprised to find Shane there, and Shane said he was stuck and needed help. Mike tried for several minutes to free him, but they began to panic because the tunnel was too tight for both of them to move if Shane remained trapped. Finally, Mike pushed Shane in just the right way to free his rebreather and pulled him through the tight spot. Shane then went back through the restriction he had just escaped, scraping himself on the rocks but avoiding getting stuck like the first time. Mike followed, but soon noticed that Shane had accidentally moved the guideline, leaving Mike unable to see where to go in the boulder-filled passage. Meanwhile, Shane continued along the winding path and faced yet another narrow passage. Still in panic, he moved too quickly and got the guideline tangled around his legs. He managed to free himself but lost the guideline in the process. His heart began to race and his breathing sped up. This was dangerous because rebreathers needed controlled breathing to work properly. With no clear exit and only tight holes around him, he could not reach the guideline he had seen just outside where he was trapped. He started to hyperventilate and could not calm down. At that moment, Mike reappeared. Seeing that Shane was very scared, Mike moved around the rocks to find an opening. He grabbed Shane by the shoulders and turned him around.
Hey, you two need to switch positions, bro. Because Mike is freaking out. Oh, wait, no. Mike is this one, right? Shane's freaking out. Mike needs to take the lead, bro, and Shane needs to follow.
Was very scared. Mike moved around the rocks to find an opening. He grabbed Shane by the shoulders and turned him around. Shane, seeing a way out, lunged forward and swam under Mike, but he became trapped again, this time underneath Mike's body, unable to move forward. In desperation, Shane thrashed and kicked while Mike protected his face from the blows. During the
What? Nah, hey. Yo, if I'm Mike, I'm killing Shane straight up. Bro, this guy is unhinged. I'm grabbing his leg, I'm grabbing his head, I'm smashing on a rock. Bro, this guy, he's lost it, mate. He's lost it.
struggle, Shane's heels tore Mike's suit and scraped him against the rocks before Shane finally broke free. Afterwards, Mike realized he was still able to function and that his equipment was mostly okay, except for a ripped suit valve that let the 52 degrees Fahrenheit water in. He had also lost a fin, but managed to get it back soon after. With his nerves wrecked, Shane continued along the guideline, determined to escape. His rebreather could not keep up with his fast breathing, so he switched to his emergency bailout tank for—
Wait, bro, Shane's pretty much killing Mike in the process. Like, he needs to calm down, mate.
Air. Approaching another series of tight spots, he pulled himself through with all his strength, but got stuck for the third time. And this time, Mike was nowhere in sight. Meanwhile, Mike had climbed a little and found a hole leading back to the guideline. Believing that Shane had gone ahead, he followed the line upward toward the next restriction. Feeling tension on the line, he assumed that Shane was pulling from the front. At the next tie-off, however, Mike realized that Shane was actually behind him, still attached to an earlier part of the guideline. Fearing the worst for Shane, Mike backtracked through the tight passages and boulders.
Oh, Mike's a good guy, bro. Mike's a better guy than me. Because I ain't gonna lie. If Shane's playing this game every man for himself, bet I'm gone. I'm chilling the situation. You're the one freaking out. He's better than me, bro. He's really going back for him.
Part of the guideline. Fearing the worst for Shane, Mike backtracked through the tight passages and boulders. But soon, the line stopped moving, a sign that Shane was in serious trouble. Pressing on, Mike discovered Shane wedged tightly in a narrow opening, lifeless, and no longer wearing his rebreather mouthpiece. His bailout tank was empty, his suit was torn, and the cord to his dive computer was ripped away. It was clear that Shane had fought hard to free himself, but had not survived. Mike tried to free Shane, but soon realized he had to start to get out and report the tragedy to the rest of the team. He returned the next day to recover Shane's body, having navigated those tight, maze-like passages through the boulder field all by himself. Culverson Creek tragedy.
Bro, wow. Moral of the story is, chat, whenever you're in a very, very bad situation, that's why everyone always tells you when it's like to do with emergencies, stay calm. Stay calm. He freaked out way too much. Yeah, Shane did sound like a jerk. He actually did. Like, the fact that Mike was trying to help him and he was kicking him and moving him and just like moving off the guideline rope and just, he was freaking out way too much, bro.
At around 3:45 p.m. on November 28, 1985, 7 cavers entered the Fuller's entrance of Culverson Creek Cave, a 20.8-mile-long system in Greenbrier County, West Virginia. The group had originally planned to explore Friar's Hole, but high water levels because of heavy rain forced them to switch to a cave less prone to flooding. None of the cavers had been in Fuller's before. The entrance passage was a canyon between 5 and 8 feet wide, with a 6 to 12-inch deep stream flowing swiftly over small, loose rock slabs. About 50 feet inside, on a downhill slope, a boulder stood in the center of the passage, with the stream flowing by on the left. At 3:50 p.m., 3 cavers passed the boulder, while 3 more were in the process, with 26-year-old Eric Sokol leading. As Sokol reached the center of the boulder, it suddenly tilted to the left. Despite the cavers' attempts to stop it, the rock moved, pinning Sokol by his head in a standing position. 1 caver immediately left to get help, while 4 others attempted in vain to move the boulder. Then,
Hey, that guy left to get help. That guy just wanted to get out of there. He was scared.
One caver supported Sakal from below as 3 companions searched the entrance cave for something to use as a lever. They tried with old truck parts, but they proved ineffective. One caver was sent to fetch a hydraulic auto jack, and another called the Eastern Region Cave Rescue Network at 4:10 p.m. Sakal lost consciousness within 30 seconds of the rockfall and stopped moving after about 1 minute. At 3:59 p.m., John Evans, a member of the group, noted that Sakal's pulse was still strong despite his unconscious state and a trickle of blood from his left nostril. Around 4:20 p.m., the hydraulic jack arrived on the scene. With its help, along with some crowbars, the team was finally able to shift the boulder. Sakal was carefully moved to a dry spot about 20 feet away, and CPR was initiated immediately. The Rennick Rescue Squad soon arrived, and a paramedic took over CPR at 4:29 p.m. Sakal was evacuated on a stretcher and reached a hospital by ambulance. Despite establishing IVs and administering cardiac drugs, his condition did not improve, and he was pronounced dead at 6:05 p.m.
Wow.
If you liked this video, subscribe for similar ones.
Bro. Damn, I would never do anything cave diving, mate. You think I'm going in a tight hole in a cave? No chance. You don't know what can happen. Literally anything can happen, though. Like, you're in a tight space, all dark. Anything can happen.